His feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green.
Yeah.
Hello, mate.
Howdy doodly. How are you?
All right, you?
Good.
Belt on.
Nice and warm. Belt up.
Belt up.
It's a good job I don't need one of those extensions anymore. Like the old airplane.
So you've seen one of these before, yeah?
Yeah.
Carpool chats. So we're just going to go for a drive around down memory lane, mate. So I've just picked you up at the train station because you're based up north now.
Good train coming down. It's cheaper to get down from north
I know.
than it is from here. I love it.
I know. You said this. I know you said before that the train is brilliant, isn't it? Great connections, north and south.
I just use the trains everywhere now, to be honest.
So obviously we're going to talk rugby, but I'm more intrigued to talk about. I know you're involved in a couple of businesses.
Yeah.
And one in particular is a brewery. I know now.
They always say do what you love, don't they? At the end of the day.
So tell us all about it.
Well, yeah, it's through a good friend of mine from Dubai. It's going to be based down in Gosport, part near the Navy bases, next to Portsmouth.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to that because you know, it's in the old ammunition loading factory down there. So
yeah.
You know, the building's just phenomenal. It's a beautiful building. We're lucky to be able to get hold of it. Around the corner of part of those is going to be is the Navy Museum and everything like that as well. So you go down to the big guns and that all down the side. And then we're going to have a brasserie in another one of the buildings as well. So looking forward to that. We're going to have the actual brewery itself will be called Powder Monkey, because that's what the lads used to be that used to move the cannonballs around and load them. And then on the side of that as well, part of that is going to be Hop and Hooker. So that's going to be the one I'm involved in as well.
And how long has this been how long have you been planning it for?
It's turning around quite quickly, really, but 8 months, something like that. So obviously,
Plenty of testing.
Good friend of mine. I've been down in testing. At the moment, we're working out of a little brewery in Derby, just to get the taste right. You know, obviously because I want it right when it gets out there, and I want to have lots of practice as well. So, which is quite hard because obviously I'm staying fit now as well. So I'm having to be a connoisseur. It's like wine, spit it out. But I'll just keep forgetting.
And so where is it on sale at the minute, or is it on sale?
It's at the ONs.
On the Billing Road?
Yeah, Old Northantonians. They're the first one there.
So that's a great touch. So Northampton's the first place in the country.
Yeah, exactly. I played junior rugby club there as well. That was my actual. Well, I played for Old Scouts, but then also Old Northantonians was the last local club that I played for. And also my school's associated with Northampton School for Boys, so you know, sort of like the story of coming back really, and doing it my first place. Probably the first time I tried beer was around the corner from Northampton School for Boys, probably. And
on that then, you know, I listened to you on TalkSport the other morning, and you're almost like the forgotten World Cup winner that's been rediscovered through his love of rugby through Japan. And obviously you've spent the last 7 or 8 years in Dubai, but now you're back. So just talk to me first of all. What does Northampton mean to you?
Oh, it's my hometown, really, isn't it? You know, I was brought up on the other side of town, as they say, on the Eastern District. Went Blackthorn Lower, Blackthorn Middle. Went to the boys' school, which I must admit I've been down to the boys' school a few weeks ago. It's completely different now. It's phenomenal. You know, it was a phenomenal school when I was there. Compared to a lot of the other schools in town, I was very lucky to get in, and the sporting opportunities I had there were massive. You know, I probably didn't make the best of the academic side, but you know, that's the good thing about the school at the time. He offered me, you know, the basketball, the football, and then rugby as well. So
because you were late starting rugby, weren't you?
Yeah, I was about 15 when I started playing. So you know, it was good for me then. And you know, Mark Lee would always.
The legend, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, he tells everyone, and he told me straight away that he's going to be the best coach I'll ever have. So I've made sure I've told Ian McGeek and that, and Wayne Smith and Clive Woodward and that. I'm sorry, but you're second, third, and fourth best coach because Mark Lee's the best I've ever had.
And then touching then on your love of the game and how this World Cup in Japan has been pretty special, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and it's funny you said the love of the game, but I fell out of love with it. You know, first serious neck injury when I was at Northampton. retired, then come out of retirement, played in France for a few more years, trying to get back into the England shirt, which I've done. Then I signed down in Wasps, and first week of that, I've done my neck again. And you know, that signing in Wasps was like 3 years, looking at signing there, thinking, right, this is going to be me transitioning into real world after rugby, really. And that was the whole point of going down to London. And you know, for that to be sort of taken away after a week, you know, I was a bit like, so I just thought I've got to get out of here. So I moved over to Dubai, and just forgot about rugby, really. And now I've just started to fall in love with it again. You know, this World Cup's been brilliant to do that.
Who's been your standout team?
Everyone's saying it's true. Look, Japan have, you know, what they brought to it and the way they play rugby. You know, everyone else is, you know, dropped the balls and you know, the storms and everything else is going around. Japan just put a smile on everyone's face. The way they played, you know, beating the Irish, beating the Scottish.
Yeah, the one thing that stood out for me with them, the way they come off, the way that Leach brings them off, and they're in unison, they're all touching each other's shoulder. I think that the first time I saw that, I thought, oh wow, that was pretty powerful. And I was cheering them on against South Africa as well, because I thought it would have been great if they'd beaten them. So as we look at tomorrow, because obviously we're here now Friday afternoon, what does your heart and your head say?
Heart obviously says England. Head, well, not the problem, a good thing, perhaps a bit of an evener. They've had massive torrential rains and storms again. So when you see the players doing their captain's run this morning, there was just floods next to the side of the pitch and stuff like that. So that can always be a bit of a lever, and you know, I'd quite fancy
leveler for who though?
for England, I think, because I think if it's down to just playing pure rugby and things like that, the way New Zealand can play on the gain line with the power they can and offload, you know, I think they have it. But with a wet ball and thing, I think the way England are defending, I think we've got a great opportunity. And you know, I've always said I'm not a massive in favour of Ford starting, but if it is wet and it is like that, having him and Farrell on there, and then obviously Daly with a big boot as well, it could be a massive arm wrestle like that, and he could come into it, because you know, when he came off the bench, he's brilliant. He picks the spots and he kicks teams back into their own 22.
So is it all about that first 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's going to be, because suddenly, you know, both benches look really good. You know, in previous games, England have been able to overpower other teams because of their bench, and New Zealand the same. Whereas this time, they've both got great benches. So for me, it's, you know, that first 20 minutes. Can England put a bit of doubt into New Zealand's mind? That's what they've got to do, is go out there and make New Zealand doubt themselves, because normally what happens is teams play New Zealand and they're doubting themselves before they go out there. If you can go in there and actually get into New Zealand's mindset and go, hang on, we are here and we're the real deal, that would be it. Whereas New Zealand would be trying to make England doubt themselves and say, well, actually, you've talked a good game, but can you deliver it?
And from a, like, discipline is going to be so important tomorrow. I mean, whilst I think Tuolangi is amazing, exceptional, I've always got that thing about him. I always think he's just seconds away from a red card, so it's going to be massive. But did you ever play with somebody, either at club or national level, or international level, or of course for the Lions, that you thought, oh, why, mate? And but because you just sick and tired of him letting the team down, or you were always worried, or is it a case of actually, look, he's got it in his game, he's just got to let him carry on with it?
We weren't too bad, because when I first started playing, that's what the game was about. The game was about violence and things like that. It sounds bad, but it was. You know, the way teams, you know, you always had your enforcers on the team. You know, it's a bit like the old ice hockey, and people on the floor used to be able to stamp on them and everything in the old days and punch them. And then you went over and played in France, which completely opened my eyes to it. You know, that was unbelievable. People were there and they'd gouge you and grab your nuts and stuff like that. You know, it was totally different. And we signed an Arnold Meller. So he had the record in the top 14 for yellow cards, and we signed him on the back of him being able to get red cards and yellow cards, just to try and be that enforcer type. So, you know, the game's completely changed now, and you know, you look at it, you know, you always think, is Sinclair going to do something a little bit silly at the moment? Now, Tuolangi, you know, I don't want to give him like bad luck, but you know, he's a lot better now, and you know, his tackling is a lot better, a bit lower. But I've been looking on Twitter today and Austin Healy's actually put something up. You know, he thinks there's going to be a red card in each semi-final because the way the rules are at the moment. All it takes, you know, is that you slip up and someone catches someone on the chin or something. Whereas before it was seen as an accident. Now it's a red card straight away.
So to end on that, then, England by 10 points.
I think England will win by 6, or New Zealand will win by 11.
Okay. And I know obviously you're covering it for TalkSport down at London Bridge. If you were watching it in Northampton, where would be your place of choice? I'd
go down to the old Northamptonians
and have a pint, of course.
Pint of hop and hooker. And then also, you know, I'll have some great chat from Mark Lee as well, because
he's in Japan.
No, he's back now.
Is he back?
Yeah, he's back now.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully he might watch this. Does he do the internet?
Probably not.
We'll get Jess to show him. But just finally, then, we've just pulled up at Franklin's Gardens, which for me as a rugby fan, there's no better place in the Gallagher Premiership than coming here on a Friday night for a Friday night game. Just a quick word for the boys for you know what you think they might do this season.
No, I've already saw. I know I've talked on TalkSport, and I really think, you know, they can finish third. You know, I think they surprised everyone. Probably in the group, they probably didn't surprise themselves, but perhaps a little bit. They've come in 4th last season, and you know they've got good strength in depth now, and they've added that with a couple of good players. And it's good now because they've got that first win, especially away at Saracens. So you know that's good for them. They've got points on the board. There's nothing worse than starting a season and just keep searching every week for that win. They've got the first win, so now they can just go on. And you know, Mike Hayward's coming back from injury this weekend, just to add to this. And then as the next few weeks go in, more and more lads will come back from the World Cup to strengthen that squad as well. And they'll have to play well to get in it. And that's the good thing about, you know, Wayne Smith was the same, and Boydie's going to be the same as well. I'm sure that it doesn't matter if you come back from a World Cup, you've still got to earn the right to play in the Saints shirt. And if the boys are playing well, and you know they've got some great players coming through now. You know, Ribbons and that's doing well, Coles as well. And you see them and you think, you know, Ludlam's going to come back and he's going to be raring to go to actually build on the reputation, because he's probably surprised himself a little bit as well. You know, he'd done well to get in the pre-World Cup camp, and suddenly he'd done so well in it that he actually, you know, it's a shame that he's off the bench tomorrow. But
you, he could have be an impact, because when you look at him, he might have raised a couple of eyebrows to non-Saints fans on a national level, but he must have impressed Eddie Jones and his coaching staff so much. And when he's come on, I love when you hear him. You hear him straight away. I can't remember the game, but it was straight into the scrum, and he was that shout of encouragement. And we won it against the ball in, and he was slapping everyone's head. And you think, this is this young lad from Northampton that weren't even on the radar 6 months ago. And I think him, you know, I'd love him to come on and be a game changer tomorrow. And I think he's got that, because just that enthusiasm and
that's what I mean. He's not there tomorrow, which is a shame, because they've gone for Wilson, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think they've gone for Wilson.
Well, that's a bit of a schoolboy error. We might have to edit that one out.
I'll see it. Well, I'll just see if they have.
Right. Listen. On that note, then, Saints to finish third.
Yeah.
And England to beat New Zealand by 6 points, and face who in the final?
Now Jonathan Davis is back for Wales. Everyone's talking about Liam Williams being a massive miss, but I think with Halfpenny coming in and that, you know, he's one of these players that could probably go on and be man of the match. Halfpenny, he's one of these sort of great players like that. But I think with Jonathan Davis back in the centre for them, I really believe
England-Wales final.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
And of course, we then go and lift it for the second time ever.
Yep, hopefully, because if Wales win it, like everyone keeps saying, it's going to be worse than Brexit.
And on that note, Steve, top man, thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.